All right, we are live. So, is it on?
Is it on?
It is on.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Cool.
What's going on, YouTube? We are just now starting the stream. We're gonna rant and rave for a little bit, just kind of padiddle around until people actually jump in the stream. If you're watching this later on, number one, there's definitely going to be a video where I clip it so you don't have to watch all this nonsense. But we're going to give it a couple minutes just to let some of the homies jump up in the stream. We got Brody in the chat. What's going on, Brody? If you guys are in the chat, please say hello. Please like the live. Hopefully everybody's having a phenomenal Saturday wherever you are in the world. Let me know if you can hear me, see me, and everything sounds good. I am doing ye old hold the microphone approach, which I know a lot of people hate when, people are like holding the microphone. But I don't know, like a lot of the time you see the comments and people are like, why is this person holding the microphone?
We have to interchange it so it can.
And Brody says, sounds good, video's good. Thanks, Brody. Love the name. Love the A. Brody Alden. Sweet. What's going on? What's going on, Burrito? What's going on, Ron Dog? What's going on, RVM Shoe Jack? Hope y'all are having a phenomenal Saturday so far. But yeah, so I'm going to give it like one more minute and then we'll all jump in. By the way, at the end of the stream is where I will take questions from you guys. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of ask Emiko. So this is Emiko, by the way. Everybody say hi, Emiko. Emiko's my girlfriend. I'm the bum in the relationship.
No, you're not.
And yeah, but so the whole process was going to be, I'm just going to ask her some questions about how she feels about my demeanor after almost 3 weeks of not smoking any bud. And yeah, and then we'll get into it. And so yeah, if you guys do have questions, I know a lot of you, it's like you're not going to be able to stick around for the entire live, so you're more than welcome to ask them in the chat, and I'll try to scroll back to it right now. But if you're willing, stick around and save them. I'll try not to go longer than like 20-30 minutes, and then we'll take questions at the end. So without further ado, hope everybody's having a phenomenal day. Let's get into it. So, Emiko, the star of the show, the light of my life, right? So it's been 18 days.
Yeah.
No smoking cannabis for 18 days. As long as you've known me, right? I have smoked weed every single day of our relationship. How long have we been together? We've been together for almost 4 years.
This coming June is going to mark 4 years.
Yeah, we'll mark our 4-year anniversary together. Mm-hmm. And so that entire time, I've smoked weed. And then I kind of roped you into smoking weed. And so together, we were almost... Like, I definitely smoke a lot more weed than she was smoking. So I was smoking, like, multiple times a day. Emiko would maybe smoke in the evenings, sometimes not.
Yeah.
So, first question. Okay, I have a first question. Did me smoking weed every day, did that kind of influence your perception of me at all, would you say?
Not really. I mean, like, you as a person, like, you just, like, wanted to, like, smoke, right? But, like, the more, like, we really started, like, understanding each other in our relationship, like, I started to, like, see, like, the dynamic of, like, how that, like, affected you. And obviously, like, our relationship. And so, like, yeah, so it's... So, like, yeah, I could notice, like, the low energy and, like, the low... just like attention span of like, like when we're doing stuff together.
Okay. So
yeah, it wasn't like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so when I think about low attention span, it's definitely, and a lot of you can probably relate to this, right? When you smoke weed a lot, it's really tough to feel present doing almost anything, right? It's like if you're sober, you are looking forward to being high. If you're high already, maybe you're a little more present because you've scratched that itch, but you're still like reveling in the sense of of being high. would you say that there was any degree of you that sort of wished that I would cut back, or that, wished that I didn't experience that?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So, like, remember the times when, and like when we like talk, right? Like and like he's the one that like helped me like start to like be open about like expressing my feelings, and I started, I was able to like really like let you know how I feel about like certain situations, like I pointed out like why are you acting like this, what has like gotten into you, but like I said, like the longer we spent more time like understanding our dynamic, I think it just like it helped me realize like, okay, like it's not him, like it's like the smoking that's like what's causing it, it essentially, but yeah, like I think
Do you think our relationship would have been better had I actively like really tried to stop smoking weed earlier?
better? Not really. I mean, I still enjoyed like our time. Like it wasn't like the red flag like when we started talking. I wasn't gonna be like oh, you smoke weed, like I'm.
Oh, that wasn't the red flag.
No,
What was the
no.
red flag?
Oh no,
I'm just kidding.
I can't think of it at the top of my head.
Okay. That was a joke.
But yeah, it's yeah. So I would say like you introduced it to me, right? Like ever since like I moved in with you, and I started smoking more than like I usually did, because like I had access to it.
That's the
Yeah.
That's the thing, and like you get it for free. I mean, I almost get weed for free at this point, but between just the amount of time that I've been smoking, like the network of people in my life that also smoked weed, and so it's like accessibility is not a problem, which I would say is perhaps part of the problem to getting so wrapped up in it. So I'm trying to think of other questions I could ask you about the time that I was high. So I mean, it's like you talked about it's a little bit difficult to navigate being around somebody who is so affected by like fatigue or irritability. What would you say, just to touch on like positives, do you feel like there's any positive aspects to being in a space where people consume weed on a regular basis?
On a regular basis, or like
you can answer that however you want, any basis.
Like the positivity, I think we were definitely like, especially like when we smoked together, like we were that was like our time to be deliberately like chilling. Like that was our time to like, okay, like it's time to like start like winding down the day after we worked, and then we had a set time that we're gonna chill, eat dinner, and like smoke, and like we spent time. We still did, but like we were just kind of
numb in a way, like zoned out.
Yeah, like zoned out.
Okay, like a little less intentional, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
And for me, like I think honestly, like it helps me more because like it just like eases like my tension in my body. And like I just, it's the deliberate time to like stop working and then just like relax. So yeah.
Interesting. So now, I guess let's start with just overall. So I haven't smoked weed in 18 days. What are the biggest differences that you notice about me, if anything?
You love me more.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can tell that you're more present, and I feel like we're more present with each other in terms of like work. So like we can like really like snap into like work easier, and yeah, just like I would say the dynamic has
Okay.
changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say, let's start with like the positives. So more present with each other. Can you talk a little bit about how you see that in me? Like, can you look
Yeah.
at the positive changes that you notice
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
me?
you're definitely more like brighter,
Mm.
I would say. You're more like focus, like super hyper focus.
Mm.
Like I realized that ever since like you stopped smoking, like, you know, every single day,
Mm.
like your mood has significantly changed, like I can tell.
Mm.
And then also like again like with work, like you're just like hyper focused.
Mm.
And I feel like because you shifted like your fixation to smoking to something else,
Mm.
like you're, you know, with like ADHD and stuff,
Yeah.
it, yeah, I can see that it helped a lot.
Mm.
Right, like shifting to work, or either like gaming, or I even notice a lot like you're more like lovey-dovey with Argo now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, our dog, my German Shepherd. And yeah, I just noticed that, yeah, you just love him more. Like more, you know, like playful, and spend more time with him.
Yeah.
And even like, you know, try to attend to him more, because he is definitely like a special needs kind of dog too.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
He constantly wants like pets and butt pats.
Yeah, and he
Yes.
really like he'll take his head and just smack you to try to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. I definitely noticed that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's easier to focus, and this is something I'll talk about in another video, which is just dopamine like feedback mechanisms. So there's a lot of cheap dopamine that I don't find myself searching out anymore, which is really interesting. And like I said, we'll definitely talk about that in another video, because I think it goes across the board. So, you know, tongue-in-cheek sort of answer. But I do find that generally it's a lot easier to focus on working, right? It's a lot easier to feel obsessed with getting results in our business.
Yeah.
And like this YouTube channel, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in many ways, I find that I'm a little too obsessed with like analytics and these kinds of things. But it's giving me, I don't know, it's giving me a newfound sense of desire of wanting to create something. And it's interesting that I talk about this on this channel a lot, but I'm a pretty political person. Like I'm really obsessed with what's going on in the world, especially in the United States right now. And it's like, man, on one hand, there's so much opportunity to be a doomer, for me at least. I don't, you know, not saying that you guys share my political opinions, but I still feel so good. Like it seems like if I were to use my value system and look at the external world, it's like, man, the whole thing is fucking collapsing, and yet I feel phenomenal. It's weird, but it's nice, and I also have an increased desire to go out and make change and get involved.
Yeah. It's like everything. Like, do you feel like a lot of weight has been lifted off your shoulders in a way?
Yes, absolutely. So it's funny because I was walking around our house just this morning, and one of the things that I realized was when I'm smoking weed a lot, there's like this constant fatigue. It's almost like there's this constant weight. It's hard to describe. It's like a slight tension, but it almost feels like I'm being drugged down, and I'm constantly fighting to keep myself awake and aware. And as I was walking around the house today and realizing that, man, I don't feel that at all right now. Like I feel fine. I feel good even. And so that's probably one of the biggest changes that I'm noticing, is just that constant hum of tiredness and exhaustion. It's not there. Let's talk about like the bad, or like the mediocre, or the not so good. Do you notice anything not so good that's different?
No, not really.
Really? Nothing? Nothing at all?
No, not that I can think of in my head right now. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know.
What would you say to anybody who is thinking about moving on from smoking weed, and especially if they have, they're in a relationship or they have a family, they have people that that are in their kind of space all the time. Do you have any words for them?
So like from what I've experienced, I just had to be like, from me, right? Like, and maybe for others within like a family dynamic, like
Right.
it's to be patient. I think that's very important because there were several times where I felt like I was telling you like too much, like what are we doing, like what's happening, like what do we have to do to get to point A to point B, like
Right.
efficiently and effectively. And I had to like, I feel like I had to take a step back and like be aware, like, okay, like this is not him, right? Like it's the other side of him that comes to life because like he was like smoking, or that you were smoking. And so I just, yeah, like it was just like acceptance, and then like I was just patient. And like I believed in him every day. And yeah, I think that's it. Like I have to give you like endless support, and like to never give up, even though like the times like I feel like oh my gosh, like this is tough on me, but yeah, it's endless support, patience, and love. Unconditional love. Yeah.
Yeah, you are a phenomenal supporter in the way that you really encourage strategy. Like you're a big like let's map this out, let's make a plan kind of person.
I try to, yeah.
Yeah, and you're really good
Well,
at that.
you do too.
Sure.
But I
yeah.
think, well, because like I also noticed that. So like during the time like we were together, where if one of us kind of like goes through this like downhill like spiral, like for sure, the other person is going to like lift us up. So like at times, like I recall like when you were smoking heavily, and then I remember that like I try my best to like really like hold you up, and vice versa, like you do the same thing for me, like when I have like tremendous like burnout.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I like it's funny because we've had that this conversation quite a few times, right, over the years, of like what plans do we have to make together to grow, to expand, to reach the next level, whatever that is for us, right? And I feel like I've tried so many times to overcome cannabis, and she's really helped me a lot over the years, like build plans and try to figure this out. And it's like I don't know necessarily why this time has worked out so well for me. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think it's because like we finally got our own house. Like we finally got our own like environment that we can fully be ourselves in, and we didn't feel like as like restricted. But also the fact that we're several hundred miles away from our friends and family, and
Right.
I know that you get your supply from your friends.
Right.
So it kind of like we like separated ourselves from an environment that we used to know, that we felt very comfortable in.
Yeah.
And like now that we're in a situation that kind of challenges us, I think that's what like helped cause like a shift.
Interesting. I mean, and I also of course have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, you guys are
Yes.
predominantly, I mean, in my opinion, when I think about the biggest reasons that I moved on from smoking weed every day, it's like I just made this random video one time when we were in Maryland and I was out, I was out in the woods. I just wasn't high. I made this video.
Yeah.
The massive response, and it encouraged me to give it another try. And so we can, do you have any like big things to add? I feel like if you guys are listening to this and you have any questions, definitely drop questions in the chat. There's a couple of them so far that I'll start to read through. But if you guys have questions for us in the chat or for me in the chat, go ahead and drop them and I'll go ahead and answer them. But just to kind of like transition into that, do you any big other things to add? Anything else like top of mind on this subject?
All I can just keep saying to you is that I'm just so proud of you. Like I know that this is something you struggled your entire life, and that like it seems to me that like finally you have like a sense of like peace. And I'm just like I'm like thrilled. Like I'm so happy that you feel like a shift that you've been so longing to have. So yeah, I'm endlessly happy for you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me for you to say that. So let me read through some of these questions and then we'll start to wrap it up. So for those of you that have been here, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. Spawn Programmer says, gorgeous girlfriend, by the way. Thank you, Spawn. So let's go ahead and jump to the top. We got Faded Goat. And number one, big shout out to everybody that's here. Hello to everybody that's here. Thank you guys for sticking around for the live so far. We've had a really good time. So we got Faded Goat who says, yo, first day without smoking weed after 2 consistent years, 16 to 18 after wisdom teeth removal. The tea break is gonna feel good, but be hard and hello. What up? And good for you for taking a break. Even if it's just a short break, that's a big move. And I mean, if I could go back and tell myself anything at 16 and 18, there was inklings of me that kind of knew that like, man, I don't want to be smoking this shit, at least not all the time. Because it was, really intense and a lot of the anxiety, was really intense. And so the other thing is the brain does not fully develop, at least for young men, from what I understand, until like 25, 27.
They upped it up. Science upped it up. They're like probably now it's like 30 to like mid 30s. Really? Yeah. To like fully developed. Fully developed.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know exactly what the data is regarding, are you limiting yourself? Are you really holding yourself back? But from my experience, I do feel like I could have just been so much more mentally had I not, started smoking consistently at such a young age. But hey, I'm not a doomer and I don't think that you're screwed. And I would say, if it's just a tea break, good for you. If it's an inkling of like, maybe I don't want this to be who I am, definitely consider joining the Discord. Have a conversation with some of the old heads, the 50, 60, 70-year-olds that are in that Discord and, listen to what they have to say about it, because a lot of that is what has really, it has really encouraged me to do this. Ron says, how do you feel about ingesting cannabis? I mean, the whole shebang, Ron. I think for some people it really works, especially if you struggle with chronic pain long term. I am not here to tell you to stop, but I do think that there are drawbacks if you're just doing it for pure pleasure, because eventually that will become addiction, regardless of what a lot of people will try to tell you. Let's see what else we got here. Zoob says, would you recommend to moderate once a week or drop it? Again, all of these questions, right, are totally subjective, right? I think when it comes to the science, the reality is that there is science that shows that THC can be beneficial to a degree in terms of overcoming nervous issues, so things like cerebral palsy or epilepsy. Consuming cannabis can be beneficial. I don't know if that's the THC or the CBD necessarily. I also know a lot of people that deal with chronic pain you know, cannabis is tremendously beneficial. I mean, would you be willing to talk a little bit about like cycle related pain and how THC helps with that? Is that something you'd be open to?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I guess I can just like talk about my autism.
I mean, you can talk about anything.
Okay, yeah.
I was
Okay.
referring mostly to like cramping and soreness
Right.
in that way.
Okay, I could start with that. Yeah,
Okay.
like so basically like yes, like when we smoked almost like every night, it helped me to kind of like regulate like my emotions and then get me in like a trance of like, you know, feeling like finally like calm. And like it does also help especially like when I'm on like my menstrual cycle. It helps like alleviate like pain, like the cramping, like the backache, and even like yeah, like mentally it helps me calm down. I'm not like fully, you know, I haven't been like diagnosed with like the extreme like PMS version called like PMDD, but like that's like the like pinnacle of like, you know, a woman feels like they're going crazy because of just like the hormones and everything. And so that I do tend to like see that it helps me like alleviate those symptoms. So yeah. So and like again, like I have like gummies that I take every other night. But mostly, yeah, definitely like when I'm on my cycle, it helps a lot.
Talk about, I mean, if you're willing to, I mean, are you willing to talk about how it affects your autism at all?
Yeah. So again, like I'm not officially diagnosed with autism, but I discovered that I'm 99% sure that I have it, like 3 or 2.5 years back. And I think like for myself, like the more I learn about like the symptoms of, you know, living with the condition, like it does help a lot. So same with like emotional regulation and like pain, like physical, and just like mental fatigue. Like it just helps me to get in that state of like calmness. I guess because like, you know, like whenever like I get burnt out, you know, I stress so much. And like I don't know else how to, I mean, you know, I know how to do it, right? But like still like my mind forgets like, okay, you know, like stim, right? You have to like stim, like go outside and like do basic like emotional like regulation. But still like, you know, just boop, like I eat the gummy and I'm like, okay, like I feel better.
Do you have any thoughts for people, because this is a conversation that I've had a few times in the Discord especially, is people struggle with the sense that, number one, like, well, on one hand, they don't want to have an addiction. They're sick and tired of, if they're feeling good, if they're feeling good and balanced, right? Being addicted, it's kind of hard to ever feel that way sober. But they struggle with knowing that a lot of the reason that they're using it is just habitual. But then on the other hand, for example, women, right? Or for example, you know, somebody that struggles with autism or ADHD, and cannabis legitimately does help them. Do you have any words of advice for somebody that's kind of like walking that line of like, I'm sick and tired of being addicted to this thing, and yet this thing is one of the only things that helps me overcome symptoms for whatever reason? I know that's a really big
that is question. And like I think it's hard to answer because like everybody is different. And like pretty much with autism, you know, they say like full, like it's a spectrum of it. And I'm pretty sure like that might fall into people who have like ADHD as well, or whoever is like neurodivergent, is that it's a spectrum. So I think it's just a matter of like, and like you taught me this as well, is that you have to be like very aware of yourself and your body. And I think like that's why like it's important to like educate yourself on like human psychology, and like habitual like patterns, because like that's what, you know, falls into line like when you get into these like addictive like substances. And it's like an endless cycle.
Right.
So yeah, like I think it's important that like you just have to like educate yourself and to like be like actually like aware of like what you're doing. So like anything like physical like in your body, like, you know, like, okay, like I'm starting to have like pain in my body, and obviously like somebody who's been like smoking for years, like they're gonna go to that to alleviate the pain or like the mental fatigue or whatever like they're feeling. But yeah, just like be aware and be conscious of like what else, you know, like this does help me, right? But like what else could I like maybe do to also like alleviate that pain in the moment?
Interesting.
And so like, yeah, like we've also been like going for more like walks now because it's getting warmer outside. But yeah, like go for a walk, exercise, which he always tells me to like exercise and stretch, which is good. And exactly what you're doing for everybody online is accountability. That so not only is accountability, but it's also awareness. So what he's doing and what you guys are doing together is building awareness for each other. Right. And I think that's very important, to have like a community to share each other's experience and validate each other.
Spawn the programmer asks, do you feel like he is more present in the moment with you?
Yes, he is. Yes, you are. Again, like I said, like you're more tentative. I can tell that. Yeah. You're more tentative, and maybe you're more caring. Yeah. So you always you're like more considerate, and you ask like, you know, like, because we usually have like random busy days, like when it comes to like work and like streaming and, you know, just, you know, doing whatever. But yeah, he's very more considerate and more communicative. Is that how you say it?
Communicative. There you go.
Thank you. And then so it's just, yeah, so he's just more considerate, and he asked me like, you know, do you want me to make dinner tonight, or, you know, do you want a shoulder rub? Like he is, you know, he's starting to tentatively like see that I'm in pain, and then like he will like attend to, you know, alleviating that pain, which is I'm very grateful for.
Right, which you struggle. Yeah. Let's see what else other questions we got here. Zoob asks, do you plan to smoke again? I don't know, Zoob. It's genuinely it's up in the air, to be honest with you. I know that when I go back to where we live in Maryland, my buddies are gonna want to smoke. I'm gonna want to smoke with them. I think what I'm mostly committed to is not going back to smoking every day, not even back to smoking every week. Frankly, really letting go of the setting of a timeline of like, okay, I'm going to allow myself X, right? I think that if you fully overcome the habituation of consuming cannabis or consuming anything, frankly, it's like you can do it once in a while, but I think you have to be even more mindful, right? That it's like, I know that I've been addicted to this substance before. I know that I've been addicted to anything before, right? That it's a chemical. And so I know that I am prone to really, you know, want to get back into doing it. If I taste it again, it's like, man, I'm gonna be ready to just consume it all the time again. And so I don't know if I have an answer for you of like, will I ever smoke again? I probably will. But what I will never be able to do is like truly just kind of zone out, right? What I will never be able to do is be like, oh, that was nice. It's okay to do it again the next day, right? That's just like, that's something I'll never be able to experience again. And it's like, do I do I like that? Do I not like that?
Yeah. Like,
It's just the reality.
do you feel like because you have been experiencing this like state of like bliss, clarity, and peace, like it's like not even worth it to like, you know, get back into that? Like, is that your thinking that
I mean, okay, so here's what I know is going to happen, right? So the days when I was going from so when I first like tried to quit, right, what I did was I was like, okay, I'm just going to smoke at the end of the day, right? And then like I would go through the whole day, and at the end of the day I would smoke, and it was like I was rediscovering how great, how much fun it can be, right? The curiosity, the intrigue, things that I don't experience every day smoking weed all the time, right? It's just like you're just numb all the time, and you're smoking just to get away from the numbness for a couple minutes, and then you sink back even deeper into the numbness. And so what I was finding was I was rediscovering the actual joy of cannabis. And so but so to answer your question, it's like I know that I'm going to experience that again, right? If I ever smoke again, I know I will experience that tremendous joy. But the thing is, I haven't experienced this sense of like constant bliss, constant clarity, constant sharpness, constant just like feeling like light in years. And it's so nice. And I will never be able to unexperience this. So it's like I have like the two polar opposites now. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah. So I'm like, will I ever smoke again? Maybe, but I will do it super cautiously, knowing that going back to a place where you're constantly high is literally hell. To me, that is what hell feels like. And I will never be able to let go of that, and I won't allow myself to. And I will try really hard, both in terms of, you know, being accountable to you, being accountable to you guys. And so I don't have plans to smoke, but I do have plans that if it does happen, it's not going to happen, right? It's not just going to happen. It's like I'm going to be doing this mindfully, knowing that it's like, okay, it's great to experience this and feel pleasure from this. But you know what happens if you sink, and it is a slippery slope. So I don't know. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Zob says, I'd like to hear your point of view in my life. I struggle to quit because I'm a trader 5 years now, and I'm passing the FTMO challenge, and I feel like I could be a better trader without it. You probably could be. Yeah, you probably could be. I do day trading to some degree, and just like constantly being tired is some bullshit, man. Yeah, it sucks, and you know, it's really hard to be constantly watching the charts if you feel this sense of fatigue all the time. So that's you don't want that. Spawn asks, when you tried to quit in the past, did you replace it with something else to numb yourself? No. When I tried to quit in the past, I just used like raw willpower, and it wasn't enough. It was like I wanted to, and it was really my friends. Like it was just like I still wanted to spend time with my friends, and then they smoke weed, and then it's like it's around me, so it's like, oh, whatever, you know, it's fine. And then bada boom, bada bang, you're back to smoking all the time. You have thoughts on that?
No, like just from like what I recall is like, you know, you also tried to like once you diminished all of like the weed like in the household, like you even still like tried to like smoke the herbal tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, to like kind of still like probably get that sense of like the ritualness.
Right. But that's what I was doing for the first few days this time.
Yeah.
It was like I was rolling up little like herbal joints, and I would smoke almost like I'd smoke like half of it. And I'd be like, this doesn't actually do anything. And so it kind of like lost its appeal for me. But it was sort of helpful at first. It was like it was fulfilling the ritual aspect. Right. But for me, the ritual aspect is kind of gone at this point. I don't feel the desire to do it. Let's see what else we got. Other questions. Somebody said it's hard to tell people that's why we're here. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why this community has grown so much, right? Is because everybody, like, when people have, like, the idea that weed can be an addiction, that cannabis can be an addiction, is such a taboo concept, right? Especially if you know people that smoke weed, they're like, fuck no, that's not a thing. I mean, read through some of my comments. I mean, I get hundreds of comments that are like, you can't be addicted to cannabis. Ironically, they never cite anything. Apologies, there's about to be an ambulance go by.
Yeah, it's always.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's why we've kind of built a community together, right? Is that we are all existing. Hold on, I'm gonna let the ambulance go by. All right, we're all good. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, right? We all kind of exist in this place where we feel like we're living a taboo. And that's just the way it is. And I totally resonate with that you guys are going through that. And Taurus says it feels good to share. Yeah, I'm glad that you feel that way.
Good. Yeah.
A burrito says, do you guys drink coffee?
Yes.
Yes, we do. We do drink coffee. Granted, like, I'm calling her out. She drinks coffee every day.
Every single day. Otherwise, I get a headache. So
Yeah,
I have an addiction.
That's
to
addiction.
coffee.
Yeah, that's
yes,
an addiction.
I do. I started actually drinking coffee when I was 12.
Wow, holy fuck.
Yes, because like when like I saw my mom, like making this drink every single morning, she'll put like cream in it and like sugar, and it tasted so good. I was like, Mommy, like can I try this? And then once I did, I'm like, I need this.
Yeah.
Every single morning.
It's so good.
So like that itself, now that I think about it, like
yeah,
it's
that's
like
an addiction.
ritual.
It is. It's a ritual. Yeah, exactly.
Coffee, when I think of coffee, morning, a perfect morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which could be worse. It could be worse. I mean, some people would be drinking cups of that shit all day.
Yeah,
so.
I don't do that. No.
She drinks like she gets to like this point and then she's like, this is it. She's like done. She leaves like this watery soup and it's nasty. I do drink coffee most days. Not every day, but most days. And I think it was because like my dad growing up, he would always be like, oh, if I don't have coffee, I'm pardon me, I need some water. He'd be like, oh, I'm gonna get a headache if I don't drink coffee.
We're the same then.
And I never liked that idea of dependence. So I just went ahead and got addicted to inhaling carbon monoxide instead.
Something else.
To
each is their own.
To each their own. Let's see if we can find another question. How would you read... Hey, could you read my story on your last live in the comment section? I could try to find it. I hate to say... I mean, Doms, so listen, there's a lot of questions here. We will go through all of these questions. If you are willing to go back to that live and find it, copy it, and paste it, I will read your story. Absolutely. Let's see, other questions. I hate to say it, but if there's not a question mark, I'm probably not going to see it. Wizard says, do you experience this clarity in the past when traveling? Maybe. That's a really good question. I mean, do you?
Yeah, it is. Well, because like, have you ever talked about like, whenever like we went to like Thailand or Costa Rica, like where we didn't smoke at all?
Yeah.
So like,
I've told them that a few times.
Okay.
Yeah, I told them that.
So how did you feel?
I think I did feel more clear, and maybe it's because we're doing so many things. Like we're doing activities.
Yeah.
We're going to new places. There's so much going on that it felt more like it was kind of engaging my animal mind of like that, like, oh, I've got to be on my toes. I've got to be like paying attention because I have no idea where I am. A lot of people around me don't speak the same language I do, which is my fault. I don't know why Americans go places and don't speak the language. So it didn't feel like the same kind of clarity. It felt like more like an alert sharpness, if that kind of makes sense. Homework says, oh, I don't know about if I'm going to be, I got to look straight for the questions. Gain Health asks, and by the way, hello Gain Health, I'm glad you're here. Gain Health asks, have you gotten back into exercising? Yes, actually. Interestingly enough, the last few days I have been exercising pretty consistently. Not like full-fledged like I used to be all into bodybuilding and that kind of thing, and so like 2-hour workouts, but I mean I've been hitting like 20-25 minute workouts, so nothing crazy, but it has been pretty much every day, which has been interesting. But that's only been in the last like 5 days.
Yeah. That's still good.
Yeah.
It's like once you start and you're actively trying to do it,
right,
consecutively every day, like this,
yeah,
you kind of you're starting to rewire your brain again.
Rebuilding the habit of being consistent.
Yes.
Mr. McHoney says, thoughts on Ben O'Verbish getting sober? No idea who that is, brother. I got no idea who Ben O'Verbish is. Okay, well, that looks like that's the extent of the questions. I really appreciate you all being here. Hit that like button. If you guys are not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button because I will be trying to go live pretty much, much more consistently. For those of you that have been in the community, I really appreciate you guys participating. It means a whole lot to me, and it's really helped me get to this point.
Yeah. And just sorry, and like share, right? Like just if you know somebody that's like going through the same situation, which I'm pretty sure like so many like friggin' Americans like going through it now. It's like just share the information, share the awareness, and share each other's like experience, because like I think that's what like really like validates each other, and like it just helps, So share the videos. That would be very, very helpful.
I'm struggling to find the Ben O'Verbish, context here, but maybe I'm just a complete idiot. I am gonna just for 2 seconds, I'm going to humor Doms and try to find his comment. So I apologize if this is the part where the live gets like super boring. But Ben, I got you covered. So you said it was the last live. So the last live is what 2 weeks without weed feels like. Let's open her up and look for Dom's comment. Okay, here we go, Doms. Found your comment. So I'm going to read your comment on live here, and this will be the last little hoorah of this here live. So I can let Emiko go about her life and not continue to drag her into my nonsense. All right, Dom, so here we go. So Dom says, hey, so I am 18 years old. I've been smoking since I was 12. I would smoke every day and realize a lot of what it does to a developing brain, especially if you are not a strong-minded person. I went through a lot of tea breaks, etc., but at 14 I went through a phase where life did not feel real. I slept on my parents' floor for a week straight. It's called derealization or something like that, and it was very hard to overcome, but it's all in your mind. But when I kept smoking, I would have extreme anxiety and get very paranoid. The reason I smoked in the first place was to fit in because I thought it was cool with my friends. Take my advice. Listen to that little voice inside when you know you shouldn't be doing something. You shouldn't do something. Don't, it's for your own good. And if you're reading this, God loves you. I am now a week and a half sober from nicotine and weed, and you can do it. Believe in yourself, and so does God. I wish you all the best of luck. Hit me up if you need anything. Dom's very positive comment. I appreciate your story. Yeah, that's crazy. I have a cousin who started smoking weed like 11, 12 years old. And to be honest with you, I should check in on him because I don't know if he's overcome it. He's like 19 at this point. But I agree with you, right? The younger you start, frankly, the harder it is. And
I would say like that would be a very interesting topic also to talk about is like peer pressure.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a friend group, there's going to be a lot of things that your friends are going to like try to tell you like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And yeah, like if you have like a gut feeling of like, I do not feel comfortable doing this. Just be honest and say like, look, like I'm not gonna, I don't want to try this, like no offense, but like, yeah, I just don't feel comfortable. But yeah, maybe that's something like you could talk about like.
Yeah, I mean, Doms, stay strong, and if you want to come on the channel at some point, I would be more than happy to come on here and let you share your story, because I do think that I get a lot of comments from people that are really, really young, and I wish I had somebody in my life who gave me information that was not bullshit, right? I was surrounded by people that were either like, it's super good or it's super bad, and there was nobody that was like, look, it's not like you're going to smoke weed and get an aneurysm and die, right? It's like you're going to smoke weed, you're going to find that it's a phenomenal time. Then you're going to build friendships out of it, right? You're going to expand your creativity from it. And then you're going to start to really rely on it as an aspect of what you consider your personality to be, right? And then 10 years later, you're going to kind of look down and be like, where the fuck did that time go, right? And then you're not going to have support around you that gives you actual resources to change. And then from there, right? You're going to you're going to have 30 more years go by, and then you're going to be like that guy in that Jim Carrey. I'm going to keep referring to this Jim Carrey story because I think that this is one of the most effective single sentence explanations of what smoking weed just constantly can do to your life. Jim Carrey talked about how he was at some party and a guy handed him a joint and he said to him, "Careful with that. I can't remember the last 40 years of my life." And I think that's really the quote unquote danger. So anyway, stay strong, everybody. I really appreciate you all. Emiko, do you want to do the honors? So we're gonna say goodbye, and then you're gonna you're gonna close to the camera. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Peace out. Love yourself. Stay hydrated. Call your mom and do the thing. Nice. You're supposed to.